Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Good morning and a very warm welcome to Newsline, a News First production for TV1. And this morning on our program, we are delighted to welcome former Chairman of the University Grants Commission, Professor Indra Kirti Sirivira. Very good morning to you, Professor.
Good morning.
And thank you very much for being on our program. What is the state of play at our universities?
Well, the state of play in certain universities is miserable at the moment, just at the moment. The Kalaniya, there's a serious crisis. There's a conflict between students and staff. Some students have been taken to courts and remanded. So the normal educational functions are not happening. But in certain other places, things are moving smoothly. So,
When were you the chairman of the university?
94, 95.
Right. So in the last 20 years, are you satisfied with the progress? Is it like flat progress or is it on the way up? What would you say?
Progress in the universities.
Yeah.
Of course.
The overall picture.
Overall picture, of course, we can be satisfied because there have been certain improvements, infrastructure and so on had developed in almost all the universities. The funding, state funding that goes into the universities had increased, but at the same time there we see a deterioration of discipline in certain instances. Then of course some allege that there is deterioration of academic standards as well. But the benchmark of academic standards have not been defined. If we consider competence in English, if we consider the ability to be integrated into the job market, the present products, there is a problem.
There is a problem.
There's a problem.
Now, why is this problem? Isn't there? What about ragging? Isn't that another problem?
Ragging is another. But the non-integration of some of the graduates is another problem.
And why is that? Is that because it's a breakdown or insufficient standard?
Many factors, in fact, because the economy has not expanded to integrate all the graduates. In fact, there is a lot of unemployment, not only among graduates. Graduate unemployment is in a sense negligible when compared to the total unemployment. Now in 90s it was about 900,000. Now it had been reduced. I can't tell you the exact numbers, but maybe still about 700,000. But still graduate unemployment, when in consideration of the general unemployment, is not. I mean,
so it's not a big problem.
It has been blown out of proportion because the graduates or the university groups, they are the ones who can organize themselves, and they are the ones who are politically motivated and who are organized politically. But other unemployed people, they are not organized. But still, there's a problem. You asked me about the ragging.
Yes, that's coming.
Ragging, of course, has deteriorated beyond thinkable levels. Very uncivilized form of ragging in certain instances take place. This is not. I won't blame the whole scenario on the students alone. General deterioration of discipline in the country we notice general deterioration of the political system, we notice. So that indiscipline, we sometimes notice indiscipline even in parliament when school children are in the gallery.
Yeah.
So that pilfers down. So ragging is a replica of that to some extent, but of course there are mentally deranged students who may be a minority who resort to very vulgar form of ragging.
So by the same token of what you're explaining about that there are from time to time mentally deranged persons, Professor Enriquez Sirivira, and you are the former chairman of the University Grants Commission. So by the same token of how you explain that these the effects, the influence of poor behavior in Parliament in front of, say, children who are in the public gallery, and then that influence carries on with them and even perhaps goes into university. And you say that there are sections of students who are mentally deranged. Can I ask you, by that same token, how many of these members in Parliament appear, even if they are not otherwise, appear to be mentally deranged?
Very, very difficult to answer this clinical question.
Yeah.
But behavioral disorders you notice in certain ministers even. I wouldn't pass the blame on all the members of Parliament.
Yeah.
There are very decent people, both in the government and in the opposition. But there are certain ministers, members of Parliament, who make very arrogant statements, because they think they need the people only at the next elections. But extremely arrogant statements regarding the importation of luxury vehicles, regarding breaking of walking tracks, destroying walking tracks, give various excuses. That also pilfers down.
Yeah.
They must maintain high moral standards.
So you say that behavior it influences the behavior of the younger people, and even at university level. How much of poor governance practices or mismanagement, for example, the papers this morning are full of it. The Ceylon today has a lead story about the governor of the central bank and his reappointment. The same with the Daily Mirror. The Daily News is talking about a new code of ethics for the police, and the Island is talking about the government is in a soup of its own. But they 2 or 3 of the 4 that we've just mentioned has the lead story as the reappointment of the central bank. Now, for students watching this and thinking, well, it's all right, the Prime Minister's doing this, what kind of message does that send to these young people?
Yeah, students watching this, they in fact develop a rebel mind. They know justice should be done. Not only it should be done, it should seem to be done.
Yes.
Now there had been so many allegations of corruption, or how should I say,
allegations of corruption
regarding the central bank governor. Now, when in such a situation, the political machinery must display absolute honesty and high moral standards. They should not, as now some there's a total soup in as contradiction as far as the decisions regarding this issue is taken. So there is all that when young students, particularly university students, they are educated. They are going to be educated more, and they are very radical. So they get fed up with this political system. There's a deterioration. Now Prime Minister may have his own reasons to say, but Prime Minister also must be sensitive to public opinion, not only during the election time.
Yeah.
Because what is the wrong thing, what is happening is, during the election period, they are sensitive, they listen. After being elected, they would want to pursue their own agendas.
But the people of this country are thinking again. They are thinking again. The political culture has somewhat changed, as we saw in January 2015. The invincible were beaten, and it was the people who decided to do that. In some areas, the people turned out in record numbers to register their vote. So the people appear not to want to go to sleep. They want to make their vote count. And so they are thinking again, as our network has launched a new campaign, door-to-door across the island, called the Think Again campaign, to find out what the people think, whether the people think that their elected representatives are delivering upon their promises. What about you, Professor? Are you satisfied with the vote that you gave to your representative? Is he doing a good job, or her?
Yeah. I also, frankly, I also voted for a change. Earlier I voted for the previous regime. Voted for the change, but I'm also disillusioned. There are certain improvements. The freedom of expression to some extent, the upholding the standards of judiciary to some extent. Certainly there are certain improvements, but not sufficient. Not sufficient. Those, including me, those who have supported the change are not satisfied with what has been happening over the last 15 months. Perhaps things might improve, but all depends on how. All depends. Now, regarding central bank governor, the decisions, if taken in the correct direction, things may improve. But if the decisions are not taken in the proper direction, then again, disillusionment.
As a member of the public, Professor, and you listen to the radio and the TV, and you read the papers, and maybe on social media, you can't but help notice that this matter of the central bank and so on is a recurring theme. So, from the point of view of member of the public, what do you think? What do you think should be done about it? What is good governance? What should good governance do, if there is good governance? What do you expect? You said you voted for good governance. What do you expect them to do in a case like this?
I think I personally feel that whatever the reason, whatever the central bank governor's term should not be renewed. In fact,
but how fair is it to that man when as Minister of Finance said, there are no charges?
Minister of Finance or the rulers who want to keep him may say there are no charges.
Yeah.
But charges, what they say is, charges have not been proved.
That's right.
But in many instances, charges have not been proved.
Yeah.
In other instances also. On the other hand, there are the movement, citizens' movements, Friday Forum, all who voted for the change.
Yeah.
Now they are agitating. Some in fact, Mr. Chandra Jayaratna, former chairman of the Chamber of Commerce, he's the president of the Law and Society Trust also.
Yeah.
They went to courts and he had written to the president. He had written in the newspapers, publicized. So they should give a hearing to it. No charges have not been proved. When it is your man, you say charges have not been proved.
Right.
But when you want to accuse somebody else, you use all your political power, you use all the media publicity you get to make allegations. Those charges also have not been proved.
So what do you think is greater? Public perception? Is that more potent than legal process?
As far as people who hold authoritative positions, public perception is absolutely important.
Yeah.
Public perception, I mean, they must seem to be people above board. They must seem to people of high moral character. So as far as the central bank governor is concerned, that doesn't seem to be. So public perception is absolutely important. Public perception. The politicians, once they come to power, they should not be arrogant of power. They must listen to the public. So in that, now that you mentioned another headline, the new code for ethics for police.
Yes.
In fact, the police have been doing a good job to some extent. They have been extra.
I think they do a good job if there is no interference.
If there is no interference, not only code of ethics for police, in fact, it was promised code of ethics for politicians, MPs, but it has not come. So, even if it comes through legislation, that code of ethics will be to their advantage.
Right.
The politicians will.
It appears to me that you're very pessimistic. That you are pessimistic for the general outlook that you appear to have. To me, is that you're pessimistic. What will turn your pessimism? What will turn it?
A lot of people are pessimistic. There's a very grave danger in this. You know. Now we have witnessed insurrections, violent insurrections. I mean, I would not condone any of those. But when that normal decency in democratic process is lacking, the upcoming generation may resort to others, which is a very, very dangerous phenomenon.
We'll take a short break there, Professor. Do stay tuned to Newsline by Newsfirst. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Newsfirst. Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukatali.
Welcome back to Newsline, live from the Newsfirst studios in Dawson Street. Joining me this morning is Professor Indrakirti Siriveera, the former chairman of the University Grants Commission. Professor George Bernard Shaw, he said, "Now that we have learned to fly in the air like birds and dive in the sea like fish, all that remains is one thing: to learn to live on earth like humans." Now, is that the mission of the education system? To learn to live as one?
Of course. to learn to live in harmony.
Yeah.
That is the most important thing, particularly in a multi-ethnic society like ours.
Yes.
Some, of course, do not like this term multi-ethnic,
Yeah.
but I would strongly use that. We are various communities, various religious groups. We have noticed earlier in several instances certain sad situations where ethnic harmony was disturbed. Not only Sinhala Tamil, even.
Can you teach harmonious living in university, in the nursery? Where does it start?
Of course,
Does it start at home?
it should start from nursery itself. It can be taught at the university as well. But as I mentioned, I have repeatedly mentioning, all these should filter down from the top. The politicians should be exemplary. Sad thing is the Sri Lankan politicians, particularly when they are in the ruling group, do not show exemplary qualities. The arrogance of power is intolerable. Even now, I notice it's not that great as it was formed earlier, but even now it is there. So living in harmony is the
key.
Is the key, is the main thing in education. I think the subject knowledge, subjects which we studied at school, subjects which we studied at the university level, after some time we forget. But that education takes your mind, your thinking process up to a certain level, higher level. So education should take your mental process, thinking process higher and higher. Not to gain only material. Of course, material gains are important, jobs are important, but education should really help you to live in harmony. That way, religious education, Buddhist, Christian, Islamic, all absolutely necessary. Absolutely necessary.
And how necessary is it to live the examples that they set? How important is that?
Examples set are extremely important. You know, nowadays, really, to be called a politician was something, people considered it was derogatory. Because that politicians have, particularly when they are in the ruling situation, do not have high moral standards. When they are in the opposition, yes.
Yeah.
When they are in the opposition, they perhaps talk like me.
Yeah.
But when they gain power, that power corrupts their thinking. So the political culture, I think, since independence, political culture in Sri Lanka to some extent had been deteriorated. It's continuing. It's a very sad.
So political culture deteriorates. They are bordering the deranged, as you said earlier. And do we see, is there a link? Bad examples are getting heavier, and incidents like ragging and a breakdown there is increasing. Do you see a relevance? Do you?
Of course. There's a relevance. The indiscipline in society as we notice, is increasing. There's a great relevance. It's not, these are not only material problems. Psychologically, people, the poor, the educated, the rich, they must feel that we are in a country where there is good governance. This was the biggest slogan 15 months ago. But now, in certain instances, most of the people question whether this is good governance. Even as far as certain instances are concerned, not the total picture. Whether this is good governance, you get fed up, you get disheartened. As I said, we getting disheartened, the elders, no harm, frustration keeps in. But the younger people, teenagers, university students getting disheartened with the system is pretty dangerous. Pretty dangerous.
Pretty dangerous. That sounds ominous. Very quickly, as we head towards the end of our slot, what about private universities? Essential or not essential?
Of course, education system should be expanded. Private universities quickly, absolutely essential, but there has to be monitoring. There has to be monitoring. 11,000 people, 11,000 students every year leave the country, go abroad for education. India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh, US, Australia, New Zealand, even very poor people, not very rich, poor people, they sell their property and send the children abroad.
So a big drain on foreign.
Big drain on foreign. So private students, absolutely, but there has to be monitoring, proper monitoring. Again, not by politicians, by an independent body. Not the Ministry of Education as it is happening now. Monitoring should be done by an independent organization. Of course, appointed by the political machinery.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, Professor Indra Kirti Siravira, for being on our program. We hope to welcome you on our network yet again. In the meantime, think again. Check if your representatives are actually delivering upon the promises they made to you. Thank you for watching Newsline. Take care and have a great day. God bless.
Newsfirst Newsline with Faraz Shaukut Ali.